Hello to my fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Welcome to the Aquarius new moon. You'll find the timestamps for your rising signs listed below. Hello, Aries Rising. Welcome to your reading for the Aquarius new moon happening on Saturday, the 10th of February at 10 a.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. So Saturday morning, we're really going to be locking into your sense of humanity, my darling. We're going to be thinking about your relationship with the human species, how that's operating well or not, how you feel included and involved in your friendships, how you align with the right people and listen to the right kind of conversations, how you're activating those conversations too. And the right kind of conversations doesn't mean easy ones as well. Sometimes there's some more difficult things that we need to discuss, particularly when thinking about our sense of humanity. It's critical right now that we maintain a sense of humanity at this time. So we're going to be sowing some seeds. It will be a dark night. The new moon always brings a veil of darkness where we get to actively sit and contemplate and do our magical work and sow seeds, make wishes, cast spells for what we hope the future to look like. I like this one for you, Aries Rising, because the future could look bright and it could include a lot of people. Could be a really nice thing for you to do to regain a sense of grounding in your friendships and your feeling of like good spirits and happiness. If we look to the tarot to help us describe the definition of Aquarius, it's the star that we speak to. In the major secrets of tarot, the star is the Aquarian card. The system of Hermeticism says that the star is the daughter of the firmament, which means the daughter of the sky. So you can see this character here looks like they're sent from another planet. They're sent from somewhere out there down to Earth to help us solve the problems that plague our species. They're moving the water of life and love for all of us thirsty humans. They're naked and unafraid to be themselves. They've got nothing to hide and can work as an emblem, lead by example. It's beautiful to look at this card and to think about your Aquarian friends, or think about your chart and think about your activation, your sense of fellowship, community, friendship, all of those lovely things that bring us together. Kinship, who do you feel is your family? Who do you feel that you align with? What kinds of philosophies and things do you talk about? What is important to you? All of this stuff gets examined in the 11th house, and it has a lot to do with the star. It's a real beauty and clear, sort of fresh feeling about the star. Aquarius is a fixed air sign, so it's definitely intellectual. There's definitely a great problem-solving capability with the Aquarian mind. Sometimes they can feel separate from the human condition because they're so involved with strategizing and problem-solving and thinking the bigger picture that they sort of zoom out so far that they get stuck in the rafter. And there can be maybe a feeling of like isolation sometimes with Aquarians, although they probably seldom admit it. They kind of like to be like the outlier, looking from the outside, looking in. So thinking about all of those character traits and thinking about your sense of belonging in friendship, it'd be really encouraging for you to not get stuck in the rafters, Aries Rising, when strategizing for the betterment of humanity, when working towards a place that is fair and equitable and kind and safe and free and abundant for every single human person on the face of this planet. It seems like a lot to bite off. It's a lot to consider, and the Aquarian sides of all of us can sometimes have us stuck out there thinking, oh, the problem's too big, I don't know what to do, I'm worried. So I just wanted to have that little chat with you because the 11th house is quite sort of pertinent conversation as it stands. I'm sure that you're not alone in the idea of worrying about the human condition, or trying to strategize, trying to think about what is the alternative, what's a better way to do this, how can we help, how can we work towards something that is fair, that is evolved. So that's the star. It might be really nice for you if you've got tarot to just when you're journaling or when you're doing your seeding ritual, when you're looking to your friendship groups and your sense of belonging in the human condition, maybe keep the star with you and remember the definitions, multiple definitions. That's just mine, abbreviated. You know, there's so many different ways to look at the star. There's so many clues in there as to what the star might represent. So think about all of that and think about the joy that good friends can bring into our lives too. I know sometimes it can feel like a lonely road for some that are kind of invested in their spiritual practice to regulate themselves, to regulate their emotions as the star is doing. It can feel a bit separate if you don't have that many people to talk about these sorts of things. It can feel like a bit of a lone journey if you're consumed by worry about the sort of growing tension and the fate, the plight of the human species on this planet. That can be really isolating too. The star sort of knows what to do. The star is in human form. The star is one of us. As alien as they might feel sometimes, as alien as you might feel sometimes, your vulnerability is a part of this. And congratulate yourself for feeling what you're feeling too, because it's not easy for everyone. Some people have really had to compartmentalize and shut out the pressures from around them. Sensitive people can't do that. Not saying that you're sensitive, although you're an Aries, you're highly sensitive in a really beautiful way. But let's turn this around. Let's see if we can't strategize with what's being given to us. How can we make the best of what we've been given? Let's try and do that at this new moon. So I've got all of these dates written down and I don't want to sort of like fling them at you, but February looks hectic and it's all taking place in Aquarius. So I think as a collective experience, the majority of us will really be seeing the effects of Aquarius in our charts, but also as a group. We know that Pluto entered on the 21st of January, Pluto being the lord of the underworld. Everything that is hidden shall be revealed with Pluto's company. We know that it's specific to our time on Earth right now. We know that it takes 248 years to move around the zodiac for Pluto. And so some generations never saw Pluto in Aquarius. Some never will. We are, for whatever reason it is, and it's up to us to figure out why. What kind of destruction, what kind of power can we bring to our humanitarian spirit? How can this playing field that we call life be evened out? What will we not put up with any longer? How can we activate effectively to create change for the betterment of the quality of life for the majority rather than for the very select few? Big conversations, big chats, and I'm sure that it's been running through your mind for a long time now, Aries Rising. What hopefully this astrology will help us do is kind of prepare for what may be to come, but also to provide some solutions and to sort of regain a sense of empowerment, because an Aries without a sense of empowerment is ineffective. And we need you to feel large and in charge and in control of your situation and your life, and to feel helpful. So Mercury, before this moon, will have entered from Capricorn into Aquarius, having to pass the threshold of Pluto at 0 degrees. There's like a gate that's been formed at the entry point of Aquarius. So everything that is going to attempt to move into Aquarius is being met with Pluto at that point. And so Mercury is going to really bring about some conversations of revelation is how I see it. There's going to be some big chats. There's going to be a lot of stuff that feels like a bit of a mask off, and folks are going to be revealing perhaps their truer intentions or what they really believe, or there's going to be moments of, what did you say? Okay, let's talk about this, because that's not the case. That's not the truth of the matter here. This is what I have come to believe. This is, on an ethical standpoint, the truth of this. So let's discuss this. So brace yourself for a bit of revelation. The moon will happen, so that's our moment to seed what relationships we want to be a part of from now on. Then on Valentine's Day, on the 14th of February, Mars will conjoin Pluto, entering into Aquarius. So this we can work with, Aries Rising, because we know that Mars is your guiding light. There's a bravery here. There might be some shifts in the folks that you roll around with. There might be dynamics in your friendships that can't exist any longer because they have proven to be what's the word I'm looking for? They've run their course. That's what's happened. That could be maybe not so strict like that, but it's definitely about a feeling of like banding together and figuring out how we can all be a moving part in this greater whole. And for folks that have no interest in working together, that will reveal itself. Then on the 17th of February, Venus will enter Aquarius, having to pass through Pluto. And then on the 22nd of February, Venus and Mars will be in conjunction in Aquarius. So it feels like they've been through a little baptism, both of them. They've been through an initiation. They're not the same as they used to be, but they're merging. So this sort of yin-yang sort of feeling, this the classic lovers of the stratosphere coming together, bonding, forming one, breaking the binaries, all conversations we can have around Venus and Mars in Aquarius after coming through the gate of fire that Pluto has set up. February feels really powerful, Aries Rising, and it feels like you're going to find the people that you need, that will lift you up, that share the same values that you do, and that are working for good, that are working for the light, that are working for solutions-based activity rather than self-interest. We can't be so self-interested in Aquarius because they just won't fly with them. We can't be so self-interested in the 11th house because it's the definition of the place. It's about everyone else. It's about our sense of belonging in friendship and our sense of camaraderie. You can't be self-serving in that space. So see how you go. See how continuing conversations evolve as you move forward. You'll find your footing, Aries. You're kind of okay if you need to go it alone every now and again too. I want you to remember that sort of bravery that you hold so boldly. You know, you understand that if it's time to go, it's time to go. If this is finished, then this is finished. Now, on the flip side of all of this, there might be something of community activation that you really feel here. There might be something of all of these folks, because remember, you know, it's Mars and Venus and Mercury. They're all in your 11th house now. That's a set. That's a group of planets in your sense of community. So there might be a feeling of folks coming together that you can really feel a part of and really feel that you're working towards something useful. Let's get you some tarot on the table, Aries Rising, and see what else comes out that we can speak to. I've been hunched over like a hermit for a long time. I need to sort of stretch my back out. That's what I intend to do, to sort of climb out from under my rock and engage. It's lovely when you can engage in your 11th house, you know, and you can feel like a part of something. You feel all right. I've got some fire. I've got some wands on the table here, and I've got the Seven of Cups right in the center that's sort of cutting through this. There's no shame in searching for relief, Aries rising. There's no shame in it at all. I completely empathize with you as far as if we're talking habits, if we're talking modes of thinking, if we're talking rhythms that we sort of find ourselves stuck in. Folks that are prey to repetitive behaviors or habits, or unable to change things up. They're used to the way they've found ways to survive through what they're going through. Let me keep talking. I need to get this in a more concise way. You'll know if the friendships in your 11th house are growing and healthy and branching out and productive and will stand the test of time, or if you're staying there out of habit, and if your relationships with these people are informing each other's habits. It's a hard thing to come to bear when you're in company with folks that you know that you're not good for each other because you're stuck in the same rhythm, or you're stuck in the same pattern of behavior, or you go to the same outlets to numb some of the trickier feelings. That isn't to say that these friendships need to end, but you will know when the behaviors or the rhythms of these friendships need to change. Because what started out as something that felt really freeing and felt really juicy and alive and creative and vibrant, what felt like sweet, beautiful clarity, has turned into something that is just this urge for relief. You're trying to make something else stop. And God, I can tell, I can say from experience too, that's a hard thing to register. And again, that's not to say that these folks in your 11th house are causing that, but sometimes you do find yourself in a rhythm or a rut with some other personalities because you share the common want to ease or to numb out the feeling. What started out as juicy and creative and alive now feels like you're pretty cornered. You kind of feel like you're sort of trapped in a certain way of being. And this doesn't have to be drugs, it doesn't have to be substances that I'm speaking of. It could be a mentality, or it could be even like a sometimes there's those relationships where you just both are committed to just not talking about it. As obvious as the thing is right in front of you. It's like, yeah, we'd rather not. We won't talk about that. Well, yeah. A healthy relationship is an investment. And the commitment to inquire with those that you're in relationship with to check that they're all right or not. Sometimes some folks register someone's ill at ease but won't say anything. They'll attempt to mask that with something else. And that just keeps all of that heat contained. And it can feel so constricting because you almost learn that you actually can't be yourself. You can't express if it's vulnerability maybe, or if it's just the truth of the matter. You can't say it because we've all grown so used to this rhythm of just not talking about it. It used to happened to me in a job that I was in, of where it was everyone was highly aware that the culture of the place was damaging to everyone that worked there, and that the job was really hard and took so much from everyone. And consistently there was moments where we would all get together and bemoan the industry or bemoan the difficulties that we were consistently faced with, other people's vulnerability. But rather than address those things and make active changes to solve and provide solutions, we just drank ourselves to death. We were all bartenders. And we didn't actually solve the problem. We just lamented with one another and stayed suspended in motion until I snapped and cracked and flipped the table, and shamed myself. So I don't want that to happen to you, Aries Rising. Although I'm grateful that it happened to me, because there was big changes after that. If your current position, in friendship or otherwise, is having you feel suffocated, make active steps, active solutions to change the dynamic before you crack. Pluto in Aquarius is going to provide a lot of change for a lot of people. So let's see if we can harness it for the better. That's your reading, Aries Rising. I hope that was okay. I wonder, we maybe took a left turn there, but you'll let me know in the comments, won't you? Also, throw a star in the comments if you're still with me, in honor of Aquarius and all that it might represent for us. If you'd like to support my work, you can head to buymeacoffee.com/umaruby and subscribe for 10 Australian dollars a month. That keeps me studying, keeps me filming, although I'll do it anyway, so don't feel pressured. There's also a tip jar over there if you've got some extra cash to throw in the can. If you'd like me to draw your birth chart, they look like that, and we can make an appointment for me to read it to you at umaruby.com. You book yourself a spirit reading via the bookings tab. If I've read for you before and you'd like another reading, head to the back for more tab, and you can get a magic, a truth, a growth, a love, or a femme reading. And we can get together and see what else this year might bring for us all. February is huge. It feels massive. Apologize for all of those dates. I was going to save some of them for next time, but it's just this sort of gateway, this initiation, this barrier into Aquarius feels quite real to me. So we'll probably see it sort of play out in all manner of different ways on the world stage. But as your life, as your individual life is concerned, Aries Rising, it's really about who you're rolling with and the health of those connections and bonds, and what needs to change in order for you to continue to thrive and continue to grow. Much love to you. I'll speak to you at the next full moon, which will be in Virgo on the 24th. Take care. Hello, Leo Rising. Welcome to your reading for the Aquarius new moon happening on the 10th of February at 10 a.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me, so Saturday morning. I'm excited for this one, Leo Rising. I'd love to share with you what I've come up with. I've also got this massive list of transits that I'm trying not to get too overwhelmed with. So I'm going to try and speak as clearly and concisely as I can about what I can see. First of all, let's think about Aquarius, the sign. Let's think about what that represents for you on your birth chart if you're a Leo rising. Aquarius is fixed air, like you are fixed fire, the bonfire of the zodiac that you are. Aquarius is fixed air, the great revolutionary thinker, the one that is incredibly of sound mind, and it might appear from the outside to be a bit rebellious or rambunctious. There might be feelings around the intense intelligence of Aquarius that sometimes can feel a bit ahead of their time. In tarot, when we think about what of the major arcana we can rely on to explain in pictures what Aquarius might mean. It's the star, one of the most beautiful cards in the tarot. The star, to me, represents someone who was sent here from somewhere else to help us with our humanity, to help us with our growing sense of responsibility to each other. This is why sometimes Aquarius can sometimes feel a little bit alienated from the world around them, because they are so intelligent and they are so forward thinking in their strategy. They sometimes disallow themselves to be a part of that definition of the human condition. Their humanity can sometimes play second fiddle to their revolutionary mind. So it's your job as a Leo rising to really invite them into that feeling, that experience of being human, and that experience of being proud of oneself and one's abilities. Your seventh house is your relationships, the other. This is what we're looking at. And I'm looking at actually the tarot card for you, which is strength. And you can see what's above the head of the beautiful figure that is tempering the lion. It's that lovely shape. The first and the seventh house, us and them, us and them. And so we're at a moment of seeding tonight. We're on the 10th, Leo rising. The 10th of February will be your evening to make wishes for who you would love to see enter your life. If you've got people around you that you adore, it will be the evening for you to really contemplate those relationships and how you can feed them, how you can tend to them, how you can help them grow as we move along. In Hermeticism, Aquarius is called the daughter of the firmament, which means the daughter of the sky. So I see that sort of beautiful blue blanket enveloping all of us. You can see how they're so involved with the humanitarian spirit, with the benefit, the growth of the human species rather than the individual. How can this thing that we're all a part of evolve? This is the night for you. If you've been waiting for someone to come in, look for characteristics that remind you of the star. Look for someone that is really naked and unafraid to be themselves. Look to someone who sees your beauty, your brightness, and is encouraged by that. Look to someone who can help you with incorporating your drive into a space of communal conversation as well. Now, we're not going to fully understand what Pluto in Aquarius might mean for us straight away. But we do know that this is the era. So on the 21st of January, Pluto entered Aquarius and will be there until September. They'll exit for a time being to finish off unfinished business in Capricorn for a couple of months and then re-enter full-time on the 20th of November of this year. So this is the era. Pluto traversing through the seventh house will at one point have your rising sign come into opposition with Pluto. This feeling that Pluto brings about destroying old systems, of burning things to the ground in order for new growth to emerge from underneath. The idea of secrets hidden being brought to the surface. This is all powerful transformational work, and this is not for everyone. Generations before of Leo risings never experienced Pluto in their seventh house. Generations after you won't either. There's something very specific about this time in our lives, about you being alive right now and you being an active participant in your relationships, and you fully investing and engaging and taking the lessons that are offered to you in that space, about bringing things to light that have been hidden for a long time. All of these topics, as difficult as they might appear, Pluto transits are never easy, but they're valuable and they're coming your way, Leo rising. The way that you integrate and interrelate with other people is really going to be met with the full impact of Pluto, and for the betterment of yourself and for also all of us. This new moon on the 10th feels like a bit of a gatekeeping type scenario. So if we can imagine that Pluto is at 0 degrees of Aquarius, guarding the pass between Capricorn and Aquarius, Mercury has taken that journey on the 5th of February, has moved through into Aquarius, having to pass Pluto. So big conversations, big talks, big revelation, big revealing moments perhaps in your relationships, the way that you interact with other people, the way that they receive you. After that, there's the new moon on the 10th, which is our moment to seed new potential. Who do we wish to find in our lives? Who do we wish to have in our 7th house? How can we love them? How do we wish to be loved by them? What kind of possibilities can you envision at this time, at this new moon? Then after that, there will be a grand moment of conflict on the 11th of February with Mercury and Jupiter in square. Although conflict might be the wrong word, it might actually also be beneficial, because Jupiter in your 10th house, your public-facing self, is being encouraged by Jupiter. And so these messages might become quite clear and succinct. There might be some more people, some more relationships that you're learning more from that can aid that brightness in your 10th house. Then on Valentine's Day, on the 14th of February, Mars will enter your 7th house, but not before passing Pluto. Mars and Pluto in conjunction is a very powerful moment. And this is the time to harness your passion, to perhaps see how your passion is being dredged up from beneath the surface. On the 17th of February, Venus will enter your 7th house, passing through the gate of Pluto, changing the way that you desire, changing the way that you show affection. On the 22nd of February, Mars and Venus will be in conjunction in your 7th house at 6 degrees of Aquarius. The yin, the yang, polarities of the zodiac meshed, breaking the binary, coming together, loving each other. Now, take all of this as you will. It's a powerful moment, Leo rising. And if you've been holding out and wishing and waiting for someone to receive you the way that you receive others so generously, then 2024, specifically the month of February, could be really beautiful, potent stuff here for you. There's some conflict, some agitation with the 10th house, but we can work through that. If we look at this precipice, this gateway that Pluto has created, this is going to last for some time. So how are your relationships evolving? How is your relationship with intimacy and with companionship evolving over time? What do you wish to see in that house? What have you been waiting for? And what can you give thanks to? The relationships that do exist in your 7th house, the ones that are near and dear to you. How can you celebrate that? How can you plant the seeds or set the intention to help these relationships grow? These are all the big questions around this Aquarius new moon. I know that was a huge list of dates, so don't get overwhelmed. Just look to February, look to this month that we're just in right now. You know, it's a short one too. It doesn't last very long. It's a leap year this year, though, so we've got an extra day to really kind of feel the exhilaration. It all starts here, if you want it to, Leo rising. Write to them. Who are they? What are they bringing into your life? What can you offer them? Remember? This generational shift that we're experiencing of Pluto in Aquarius is profound, and there's many different ways to read it. I know that the land that I stand on, the last time that Pluto was in Aquarius was the era that was to the moment almost that this land was invaded by the white man and colonized, set up as a prison. And so in that way you can see a destruction or a disintegration, a removal of a human consciousness and way of life. That's a difficult way to examine these transits. However, we've got to remember that it's specific to our time right now. And so obviously it's up to us to be responsible and continue to have these conversations around culture, around the genesis of culture, and around the idea of that being the thing to protect, that being the thing to guard safely. When culture is destroyed, heartache ensues. When greed takes its hold, it will do everything that it can to eradicate and to homogenize. But we understand as human beings, as living things, that diversity is what makes life thrive. So hang on to these principles too as you're sort of investigating and unraveling your seventh house, because these are all guiding lights for you, Leo rising. You understand the profound nature of being able to be your truest self. We've all got so much that we can be proud of about who we are, where we've come from, who we love. Let's get you some cards. Got the Tower right in the center. And so I'm really encouraged to unpack what this signifies. I'd like to remind you that after the Tower comes the Star. That's the nature of these numbers. 16, 17, the major secrets. And so the Tower can speak to the effects of Mars, the planet, the shield, the spear. We know violence has no place here, no power here, begone. We know that anger can drive people to violence. We know that fear can drive people to violence. How can we work with this feeling of destruction in a way that is beneficial? The Tower teaches us that some structures were built on very unstable foundations. It's something in our lives we were kidding ourselves about, or we were ignoring. We weren't looking at the hairline fractures of this part of our life. And so when this bolt out of the blue comes and destroys and knocks everything to the ground, that doesn't discount the pain of that moment. However, we can look forward to the Star. I'm reminded of Pluto here. I know this is speaking to Mars. Perhaps this Valentine's Day might be a date that you can just be very present. On the 14th of February, be as present as you're able. And really listen to those around you. Listen to folks that you are in relationship with. Absorb and hear what they're telling you. And also stand in your power, stand in your truth, and don't be afraid to speak your mind as well. Because anything that falls away, Leo rising, is clearing a space for the Star. It's clearing a space for empathy and compassion and humanity. There's a lamentation that I can sense here. There's almost like there's sort of something being offered to you, or there was, that you refused at this time, that you weren't able to receive or weren't willing to receive. And perhaps that could be the emotional labor of those around you. When folks are in crisis and you're brave enough to face it, there can be a lot that is put on your plate. And so you might have to respectfully decline. Sometimes we are made offers of hope and love from other people that we can't accept. And that's something that happens to all of us too. What I really like is this feeling of conditioning that you've been going through, Leo Rising. It feels like you're on a track here. You're on a path to the truest sense of yourself. And you can only be loved by those that see you and love really the essence of who it is that you are and who it is that you're telling the world that you are. Folks that believe what you say are the ones that love the truth of you, not the image, not the facade. Let's step away from the 10th house at this one. I'm much more interested in getting to the intimacy of the 7th house for you. There's a public-facing self, and there's a certain way that we're all received in that area. There's also a very private-facing self, and that's the part of you that you spend the most time with. Who you are in solitude and in quiet and in contemplation is the truth. Who you tell me you are, who you believe your essence to be, is the truth too. So, as I often seem to tell everyone, let the right one in. No crap. Much love to you, Leo Rising. If you're still here with me, please put a star in the comments. That would be awesome. I'd much appreciate that. If you'd like to support my work financially, you can become a subscriber for 10 Australian dollars a month over at buymeacoffee.com/UmaRuby. That supports me in my study and in the production of these horoscopes every fortnight. If you'd like to give me some tip money as well, there's a little jar over there that you can tinkle some coins into. If you'd like me to draw your birth chart and read it to you, you can make an appointment at buymeacoffee.com. No, that's my tipping site. It's umaruby.com is my website. You can book yourself a place with me and I'll read your birth chart there. Much love to you, Leo Rising. All my very best. And I'll speak to you at the next full moon. It'll be in Virgo on the 24th of February. Take it easy. Hello Sagittarius Rising, welcome to your reading for the Aquarius new moon happening on Saturday the 10th of February at 10 a.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. It's the day that the Chinese culture celebrates the Lunar New Year as well, so we're entering into the year of the Wood Dragon. So there'll be lots of celebration and lots of potential for the future. There's a freshness here that kind of feels like New Year, so we can work with that, we can encourage that in each other, and we can look to the future with hope together. So when thinking about Aquarius, the sign, it's a fixed air sign, so it's definitely about the mind and about our intelligence and about strategizing. It's about receiving information and processing it and developing it into something that is effective in our lives. On your birth chart, Sagittarius Rising, Aquarius rules the 3rd house, which is, in Hellenistic astrology, the house of the goddess. And I'm looking at the tarot card that speaks to Aquarius right now as I say this, and it's beautiful. It speaks to the star. The daughter of the firmament is what Hermeticism tells us is the star. That means the daughter of the sky. When I look at the star, I see an extraterrestrial. I see someone sent here to planet Earth to help move the water of life and of love for all of us thirsty human beings, and to help heal, to help build structures and build ravines and rivers enough to flow and to move. Water, healthy water moves. So in your Sagittarius self, when you sort of align yourself with the spirit of the temperance angel, you can see there's a similarity there. They're both moving water. They're both allowing humanity to register their emotional selves, check their emotional literacy, the health of that. Temperance is alchemizing, mixing fire, like you, fire of magic, with the water of our emotions. The star comes to visit us in the tarot after the tower, after something really shocking and destructive. But when this unhealthy foundation is bulldozed, the star arrives and shows us what to do next. On your birth chart, being the third house, the house of the goddess, I see this beautiful angel of the sky. When we think about how we can fold in the significations of the third house into our lives, we can think about things like ritual, private ritual, how we say thanks for the blessings that we receive, how we interact with life around us in our neighborhoods, through the way that we communicate with animals, through the way that we communicate with nature as well. I've been learning a little bit about Shinto, the indigenous religion of Japan, and there's no way that's traced back to any kind of hand that wrote it first. The word I've lost. It's an ancient belief, and it's something that flows through the culture of Japan, even if folks don't believe themselves to be particularly religious. That sense of talking to the kami, which is the spirits of water, of fire, of plant life. Everything living has a soul, has a spirit as far as they're concerned. All of those beautiful temples that are built are to sit in that moment, to sit in that state of thanks. And that's what we can do in the third house. That's what Aquarius can help us with too, is to, when things get really noisy or difficult to bear, Aquarius brings us back and opens up our mind so that we can let the light in. It's really beautiful. Now, this part of your life is on the precipice of going through a profound change. As a culture, we're in the beginning stages of realizing what Pluto in Aquarius might mean for us all. Pluto takes 248 years to go around the zodiac. We'll never know Pluto in Aquarius ever again. This is our time to experience it. So in that way, there's something that we can be sort of, I guess, hopeful for about the idea of being alive right now. As difficult as it feels, and as much pain as we witness around us, that's all to be held with such true respect and empathy. It's hard. There's something about our mission being here. The star knows their mission very well. But we're here together to see what Pluto in Aquarius might bring to us, might bring to our consciousness, how our consciousness, how our sense of humanity might be altered forevermore. There are things that are difficult to look at. Our history is rich with violence and rich with oppression, rich with sorrow and the ugliness of hate. And it's our responsibility here as human citizens right now to bear witness to that difficulty and then to strategize and to think about different ways, different systems that might be able to operate in order to stop that. It's been challenging for me to engage in my astrological study, although it's not impossible. I'll do this until I'm gone, I promise you. But to go back to make sense of the transits, sometimes you often we'll go back into history and to sort of look, okay, when was the last time that this particular transit happened, or when was the last time that this planet was in this sign, because some of them do move so slowly. And on the most part, when just doing a basic sort of, Google search of these historical moments, the majority of information that is present or that comes up first is war, is battle, is one against the other. And it's heartbreaking, because it kind of has you sit in this idea of like, wow, that's just part of our nature. Human beings are destructive. That's part of our fate. If you dig a bit deeper, you start to excavate the beauty of being a human. You start to excavate the wonder of having a consciousness, having access to this level of empathy, this level of philosophy too, to have access to art and to allow that to move you, to have access to a conscience, and to act not just on instinct and survival, but to act on kindness and humanity. It's really powerful, and it's tested time and time again. It seems that we have never been able to learn as quickly as we have right now. We're all really aware of that, how quickly information passes our way. It's what we do with it that makes the difference. So at this new moon, with Pluto holding guard over the entry into Aquarius, they're kind of like a gatekeeper. Mercury will enter Aquarius on the 5th of February, and so there'll be extra resonance to our conversations. There'll be extra power to word. Then the new moon will happen on the 10th, and so we'll have the time to sow our seeds, to think about our third house, think about our magical ritualistic practices. How do we engage with the world around us? That does have a lot to do with meditation and with gratefulness. And then Mars will leave Capricorn, pass by Pluto to enter Aquarius. You see, there's that gatekeeping sort of thing. A Pluto and Mars conjunction can be really, really powerful. It can really rock the foundations. I am looking at the Tower now. This is the card that can speak to the energy of Mars quite succinctly. After Mars makes its way through Aquarius, then on the 17th of February enters Venus. And so what feels like an initiation for all of these personal planets into the sign of the humanitarian spirit, it doesn't feel easy, does it? But it does feel really worthwhile, because there are things that we must address. There are things that we must talk about. There are things that we must strategize. We've got to find the solutions to some of these problems. There's a lot of talk in astrology world about artificial intelligence, and Pluto in Aquarius being an emblem of perhaps some of the destructive qualities of the technological age. And that's dystopian. That's also could be a reality. But it's how we engage with these technological advances that really makes the difference. There could be a lot of benefit to some of this. Progress will be made, but progress, as we know, and time, when considered in this way, just leaves everything else in the dust. And I think there's more of us than you realize that are going back, harking back to more ancient traditions, thinking about it sincerely, thinking about the simplicity of life in times gone by, between wars. But, as far as like a day-to-day, about a person's reaction to the waking day, every day is hopeful. Sagittarius Rising, we can hope at the beginning of every day. And when we rest at the end of each day, we know that we've tried our best. It's a great saying that my mum always says, I did my best, I deserve my rest. It's a nice one to think about. I like this revelation in your third house, Sagittarius. It suits your sort of spirituality. It suits that beautiful altar of candles that we talk about so often, that the magical quality about your rising sign. The movement from your sense of value, your resourcefulness, how you intend to resource yourself into this third house is interesting to me too. It's a nice little pathway that we can travel down. To help you with your manifestation, to help you with this moon, if you wanted to work with this moon in the third house, you might want to look to your relationships at this time. If you can think of someone that you hold very close, that seems to have a handle on the magical qualities of life, that seems to really have some solutions that are based in magical thinking or based in a deeper sense of spirituality, you're in company, because Vesta, the asteroid and the goddess of the sacred flame, the keeper of the hearth fire, the keeper of the spiritual magic, is in your seventh house right now, forming a very beautiful supportive trine with this sun and with this moon. So as rocky as the road might feel, as unstable as the foundations might sort of present themselves, at this moon on the Chinese Lunar New Year, Vesta is working its magic in your seventh house. So maybe there might be something of like a coming together, like a sort of coven type feeling is sort of brewing for me. This seems really beautiful to work with. If you can think about the magical ones in your relationship zone, come together with them, maybe swap notes. I'm not sure if you listen to these as a solo enterprise, or if there's other, if there's not just my work, but any sort of astrological teaching, you might come together and trade notes. Talk about what Pluto in Aquarius could mean for you. Talk about what it could mean for everyone. Strategize. That's how we get things to happen, is when you find yourself in flow with groups of people that believe in the same things that you do and believe in or hope for the same outcomes that you do as well. I'll get you some tarot, Sagittarius Rising, and we'll see what Spirit would like to say to you at this time too. I know there was a lot of dates in there. I was unsure if I should halve it and just focus in on the moon, but you can see that kind of procession, can't you? It does, all the personal planets having to pass through the gateway of the underworld before they can get into Aquarius. It does feel like there's something, Pluto is guarding our humanitarian spirit, making sure that we're making the right changes in our lives and in our words as well, making sure that we're receiving all of the information, not getting whipped up, maybe. Okay. I've got some lovely magic here for you, Sagittarius Rising. Got the Ace of Wands right in the center, the offer of magic, the offer of beautiful, great, burning, fiery, hot, pulsating potential. It's quite a rude version of the Ace of Wands. I'm not sure if you can see what that image is. I'll let you kind of look at that for a while. But it's flanked by two fours. We've got the Four of Wands on one side and the Four of Swords on the other. And look, there's both, there's this image of like reclining, or of like laying back, of resting. One is sort of at a point of a grander sort of celebration, great feeling of accomplishment. The other is necessary rest from mental noise. And so this looks to me perhaps like an image of deep magical flow. If we work with those significations of the third house of ritual, daily ritual, what do you do? How do you say thanks to the world around you? How do you activate your Shinto practice? How do you ease anxiety? when given something so bold as the Ace of Wands, it can be a bit confronting. It might be too good to be true, looking at a certain angle. But you can trust the aces. In Hermeticism, they're called the root of the element. So the root of fire is being offered to you right now, Sagittarius Rising. There'll be time to find that flow and to see what starts being created in front of your eyes. That will be aided with some good deep rest and some good relaxation to try and conjure from a place of anxiety. Doesn't often work because the system, the air of our chart is urging us to address that first. So, yeah, get some balance. But then, strike the match, honey. Strike the match. That's your reading, Sagittarius Rising. If you're still with me, put a star in the comments, please, in honor of Aquarius. That would be awesome. You can support my work over at buymeacoffee.com. So you can head there and subscribe for 10 Australian dollars a month if you've been enjoying my horoscopes and wish to support the work financially and you're able to do so. That would be very much appreciated. There's also a tip jar over there too. If you'd like me to draw your birth chart, they look like that. You can head to umaruby.com and make yourself an appointment with me. If I read for you before and you'd like to see me again, you can pick a love, a truth, a growth, a magic, or a femme reading. And we can journey with your chart together and with the tarot and see what comes out. I'll be with you soon and I'll speak to you about the Virgo full moon on the 24th of February. So a few days before that, I'll put out the horoscope. Much love to you, Sagittarius Rising. Take it easy. Great seeds of potential at this one. We've just got to keep that equilibrium, that momentum going. You know, it's like riding a bike. Like, don't get scared, you'll fall off. I'll speak to you soon.